The Ultra Beast Nihilego is returning to Pokemon GO's raid battles, and you will not want to miss out on this Pokemon. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the best counters and strategies that you need to use to take down this raid boss. Hey, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon GO video. I hope your week is going really well, and let's get right into it. So, the Ultra Beasts. They are some of the most powerful Pokemon in the game, and some of them actually stand out over others. One of these is, of course, Nihilego. The reason for that is because this one Pokemon can be one of the best Rock-type or Poison-type raid attackers in the game. It unfortunately will not have any kind of significance when it comes to PvP, but at least for raid battles, when it comes to certain niche content, you will definitely want to have this Pokemon. So, now that it is back in raid battles, presumably for the next week, you will definitely want to raid as many of these as possible, because if you are lucky enough to get yourself a 100% IV of this Pokemon, you will definitely want to max it out. And, of course, it doesn't hurt to farm up the candies for this Pokemon in case in the future you were to get yourself a 100% IV, because you will definitely want to power it up to the maximum level and use it for whatever raids where it's going to be weak against poison types or rock types. Alright, so with all that said, let's go over how you could take down Nihilego. It's actually pretty straightforward, you just need one type of Pokemon. Nihilego is a duo rock and poison type Pokemon. Now, if you know anything about rock types and poison types, they're both weak against ground type attacks. That means for this particular raid boss, you will want to go with specifically ground types. In terms of all the weaknesses, it's going to be double weak against ground, and it's also going to be weak against psychic, steel, and water type attacks. But like I said, just go with ground types. Those are going to be the best options up against this raid. And then when it comes to resistances, you will want to avoid bringing any Pokemon with poison type attacks, especially that one because it will be double resistant against poison, and also bug, fairy, fire, flying, and normal type attacks. Those are going to be all very ineffective against this raid boss, so just opt to go with specifically ground types. Now, if you want to get perfect IVs for Nihilego, and I will say this is one of those raid bosses where you will want to get 100% IV, you're going to want to look for one that is 2256, and if it's weather boosted, it's going to be 2829. Those are the magic numbers, so make sure you write them down when you're raiding against this boss. Now, one other thing is that when it comes to Nihilego, it's going to be weather boosted by both partly cloudy and cloudy weather. So if it is cloudy outside, that is the time to raid for this raid boss. Now, if you want to secure the win against Nihilego, you don't need that many trainers. You could just go with 4 to 6 trainers in total, but if you want to challenge yourself, you can duo this raid boss, or in some cases, maybe even be able to solo it. I will say it's probably safer to at least have one other trainer, especially if you do not have the absolute best counters. Speaking of which, let's go over those right now. It's very straightforward. The absolute best ground types in your collection are all you're going to need. And the top counters include Primal Groudon, that is by far going to be the absolute best Pokemon up against Nihilego. And then if you do not have that, the alternative for Mega Evolutions is going to be Mega Garchomp with ground type attacks. And when it comes to non-Mega Evolution Pokemon that you should bring, these include Shadow Groudon, Shadow Garchomp, as well as Shadow Excadrill. Just make sure you go with all ground type attacks and you'll be good to go. And then of course when it comes to budget counters, if you do not have legendaries or shadow Pokemon in your arsenal, you could go with regular Garchomp with ground type attacks, as well as Excadrill and Rhyperior, all with ground type attacks. They're all going to be top tier raid attackers up against Nihilego, and like I said, this is a very easy boss as long as you bring nothing but ground types. But let's say you just started playing Pokemon GO and you do not have any good ground types, just be aware that also water types are really good against this raid boss, as well as any of the other typings that it is weak against. So do not feel like you're locked into just ground types. As long as you have very powerful water types or psychic types or steel types, you're going to be good to go. Mega Metagross, for example, could be a very powerful Pokemon, and if you have Shadow Mewtwo, that could also be a very powerful Pokemon for you to use. So yeah, do keep that in mind. There are plenty of different options, but still, if you happen to have really good ground types, you should just focus on that. Alright, there you go. It's very straightforward. Just bring your absolute best ground types. That's going to be the key to taking down Nihilego. This is of course one of those Pokemon that has a double weakness, and in some cases you might even be able to take it down just by yourself if you have the absolute best counters. But I will say it's probably going to require at least 1 or 2 other trainers, mainly because you want to play it safe. You don't want to lose your raid passes. But yeah, this is going to be in raid battles for about a week, and you do not want to miss out on it. In fact, anytime there is a fairy type raid boss, I tend to go with just a full team of Nihilego. That tends to be the best solution for those raid bosses. Poison types are very far and few between, especially those that are good enough for raids, so I will say Nihilego is a must-have Pokemon, and you should definitely try to get a bunch of them and power them up so that you will be best prepared for any future raids that involves fairy types. I can't really think of that many fairy type raid bosses now that I, take a look at it, but I will say the few times that we do have them, yeah, Nihilego does come in clutch. I think Xerneas is one notable one. I think I've been using just basically nothing but Nihilegos against that particular raid boss. Of course, there are certain times where a steel type is going to be a much better option against fairy type raid attackers or fairy type raid bosses, but I will say in general, it still doesn't hurt to have Nihilego. I mean, it's one of those Pokemon that I've used quite often, so yeah, it is certainly very useful. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing else really to talk about. Again, this is a high priority Pokemon. Of course, it does have its shiny form in the game as well. If you're lucky enough, you can get that. And it is definitely one of those shinies that does draw a lot of trades. Especially now that players are hitting remote trades with their friends, it is going to be one that I'm sure people will actually request. So if you want to get yourself a really good Pokemon through trades and you want to have a Pokemon that you can offer up that won't necessarily be something that will hurt your account, yeah, farm up a whole bunch of shiny Nihilegos while you can. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, nothing else to say. Let me know your thoughts regarding this raid boss down below. Is there a particular tip that I completely missed? Are you going to be raiding for Nihilego? Make sure you share all those comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And if you really enjoyed this video, found it to be helpful and informative, and you want to support my channel, best way you could do that is by hitting the like button for this video. Also, make sure you subscribe if you have not done so already, and make sure you turn on that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload videos. Also, real quick, make sure you go and check out the links in the description below. One of them is to my Patreon page. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, best way you could do that is by becoming a Patreon member. So definitely go and check it out if you want to do remote raids with me and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's gonna be the end for this video. I know I said that's gonna be it at least 3 times, but anyway, I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, have yourself a great rest of the week, and I'll catch you all later.